Hi, welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas in July. I'm Summer of Summerly Quilts, and today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful Christmas table runner using a jelly roll and a yard of fabric. Do you ever have one of those days when math is hard? Yeah, you're watching one of those for me. So there's going to be several errors here. The first of which is that you're going to need 1.5 yards of fabric if you want to make the 8-foot runner that I make in the video. We'll let you know when any other number mistakes come up, but just know that in the blog post, all the numbers are right. The first thing that we're going to do is open up this jelly roll. I'm using Kate and Birdie's Winter Lane. I absolutely love the fabrics on this. They are so beautiful and will lend beautifully for this quilt pattern. This is one of my favorite things in the world, to open up a jelly roll. I don't know about you all. So the first thing that we're going to do after we have our jelly roll open is we're going to kind of separate these into colorways. So this one has light blues, whites, and reds and tans. So I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to separate these out into their colorways, and then I'm going to select 36 strips from all the different colorways. I want to make sure I get a good mix of them to go into the table runner. Okay, I've got our fabrics here all laid out in their different colorways. So the next step is we want to create sets of 4 strips. So what I'm going to do, I went through and I made sure that I had at least 8 of each colorway, because what I want to do is take 1 strip from each color and create the set of 4. If yours doesn't have that, just play with the colors and make them up just with a good mix of colors. You may have more than 4 colors in your jelly roll, and that's fantastic. So just put together, we're going to do 8 sets of 4 strips. Now, one thing that I would encourage you to do as you make your strips, or make your sets rather, is that you make sure and mix up the placement of your colors. Now, what I mean by that is, say my first strip set, I'm going to go ahead and do the light blue, I'm going to do red, I'm going to take a white and a tan. So I've got blue, red, white, and tan. So the next strip set that I make, I want to make sure that they're in a different order. So for the next one, I may do red and tan, and let's do a different flower next to that, blue, and then a white on the end. And what this is going to do is really give some more motion to the table runner in the pattern, and it's going to give a really, really nice effect. So the next step is to take these sets over to the sewing machine, and we are just going to put right sides together and sew 1/4 inch all the way down the entire strip. These are folded in half, so let me show you the full strip. So we're going to sew all the way down the entire strip, and then sew the other set together, the other pair, and then finish by sewing them again, so that we have one set of 4 strips that are sewn together, and we want a total of 8 of those. So I will be back in just a moment and show you my strip sets. Okay, I'm back. I now have sewn all 8 sets of 4 strips together, so that I have 8 sets that look like this. Now the next step is that we're going to go ahead and fold these together and sew right down the edge here to make a tube. Now, if you can tell, I haven't pressed these open yet. And the reason I haven't done that is because it's easier to keep folded with 4 so that I can use this seam to keep it in half. So I have all of my 8 sets made into these nice long tubes. You see? And so the next part is going to be cutting these tubes to make our blocks. So I'm going to lay this out nice and flat, and I want to feel this center seam nest up against the seam underneath, and that will make sure that we are nice and flat and there aren't any wrinkles or gaps underneath. Now we want to cut off the selvage edge, and to do this I line my seam up with the line on my ruler. That is the line that I try to go off. And then I'm going to cut 2.5-inch strips all the way down until I have 16. Actually, I absolutely love this. And as I go along, I'll be able to do more than 1 strip at a time. But this is my Shape Cut by June Taylor. And I've had mine for almost 12 years now, and it's seen better days, but this is a fantastic tool. So I'm going to use it to cut my pieces here. What this allows me to do is I can cut 4 strips very quickly without repositioning the ruler. So 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10. And that's going to give us what we need for our first block. Now, as I go along, and what you can do is to just continue down the line and cut all of them at the same time. Okay, for the next part, you're going to need your seam ripper. What we're going to do is choose which one of the 4 fabrics in your set you would like to be in the diagonal of your block. And so for this one, I'm going to do the red. And so what we do is we're going to take out the stitches where the red is on top, or whichever fabric you want to be in your particular block. Just like so. And then I'm going to lay this on the right. Now, for the next block, I want the red to be down 1. So I'm going to take the red where it's on top, and I just pick up the seam behind it and pull it up so that I see it down here. And then I'm going to take out those stitches again. Yes. And I'm going to lay it beside the first one. So let's find where we were. So here's where we were in the beginning with the red on top and the tan on the bottom. So this time I'm going to go 2 times. So 1 seam and then 2 seams. And this is the one that I'm going to take off. So you can see the red has moved 3 places. It was started here, 1, 2, and now it's in the 3rd spot. And there may be times when you get one off, and you can always, you'll kind of get a hang of where their placement is, and you can always switch it out. Or if, you know, if the worst thing that could happen is you may have to stitch the 2-inch spot back together and just take out the right one. It's not a big deal. Okay, so here we are again. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to have it back here, and take out the last row of stitches. Open it up and lay it to the side. So you can tell if it's laid out properly, because not only will you have the fabric you chose to be in your diagonal and as your diagonal, but you'll see that the other 3 fabrics line up diagonally as well. I'm going to press these open because it's finally time to press. And the reason we wait for this stage to press them is because now I can alternate the direction that I press the seams so that they can nest together when I get them over to the machine. So we're going to press them first, and then I'm going to sew them, and I will come back and show you the finished block. Okay, I'm back and I have one finished block. This should measure 8.5 inches unfinished. So now the next part is that we're just going to go ahead and finish up all of the blocks. So each strip set gets cut into 16 2.5-inch strips, which will give you 4 blocks for each strip set. So you want a total of 36 blocks to do our runner. So I'm going to do that now, and when I finish all of those up, I'll show you how to lay them out. Hey, welcome back. Okay, I've made my blocks. I have 24 of these fun scrappy blocks, and you should be able to see the diagonal that goes through each one, following the pattern along. And now we're going to lay this table runner out, and our goal is to use those diagonals to create flowing diamonds that go through the table runner. So to do that, we're going to lay 2 squares at a time to go down. I start with them meeting in the middle. So I have one that has a white diagonal. So I'm going to choose one to go beside it that is not white. Oh, that one matches. It's too matchy, I think. Let's pick one that is not matchy. I do try to keep like colors from being side by side because it just makes it more visually interesting. Okay, so now I have the diagonals going out this way. So the next blocks, I'm going to have the diagonals going back the other way. Just like so. Now we've got the diagonal shape going this way, so now we're going to go back out. So once you have your table runner laid out, just like so, keeping those diagonals going out, then back in, out, back in. So you have used all your blocks. So you will have 12 sets of 2 going across, and then you're just going to simply sew those together. And you can either sew them together in one long row or have 2 rows of 12, or you can sew them together in pairs and make 4 patches and sew those down until you have your top. So once we do that, we're going to come back, have our top, and then it'll be time to baste it and quilt it. Hey, thanks for hanging with me on this mouth was hard day. Because life happens, I wasn't able to record the final steps of the runner. However, I'm going to link in the description a few videos that could be helpful to you to finish up those processes if you need it. In the meantime, here's a little slideshow of the finished runner.